Good morning, Raptor freaks. Lexiot's here. Saturday morning, the Raptors beat the Pelicans. Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. We needed to get them. And we did. We got them with a lot of energy, a lot of team play, and point guard Scotty. Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting game. The thing I realized about the Pelicans, they're kind of like a team on a video game. They're like maybe the second or third level of a basketball game where you have to play different teams. Maybe the first team in the game is the Wizards, and you play like them. They're young and they're kind of easy. And then you got to play a couple levels, and then all of a sudden you get this strong team that you have to play. Not necessarily a good team, but their whole team is really strong. Like they have muscle men on their team. And you have to figure out how to beat them in the game to get past that level. And well, that's kind of who they are. I mean, Zion, he sets the tone with his crazy body and what he does. And we'll talk about how he was very scary in the middle of the game. But then you got guys like Sadiq Bey, he's Missy, uh, DeAndre Jordan. You got all these dudes on this side that are just crazy, muscular, big, strong guys that are hard to deal with. But in some ways, that is like probably their biggest plus bonus as an advantage is their strength, not necessarily in any other category. Let's just put it that way. But yeah, it was a good, hard fought one game. We didn't rely on Brandon like that last game against Pelicans to try and beat them, which is smart because he doesn't have a proclivity to go against his team. I can already tell. His old team is not a team that he's going to step up and get crazy against because in some ways he has too many feelings of past memories with the New Orleans Pelicans. So I'm glad that Darko was smart and kind of sat Notorious BI3 for big stretches in the middle of the game because in some ways he, not that, he would do it on purpose, maybe, I don't know, but he wasn't playing up to like a huge high level. But other guys stepped up and did. And even without Quickly out there, we found a lot of good production from multiple people with 5 guys scoring 18 or more. So it was a fun game. There was some pretty cool highlights, some very interesting little minor feuds in the game at times. And well, the refs, they couldn't manipulate the game because we had the lead big enough late in the game that Mark Davis couldn't have anything to work with. And that was part of the game plan yesterday morning on the preview, as far as saying keep this game separated and wide open with the margin as far as us beating their ass so that Mark Davis and Kevin Cutler can't have a say in what happens at the end. And mission accomplished. Good job. I mean, this is such a precarious place we are in the Eastern Conference playoff standings. We can't afford to misstep and lose a game like this twice to the Pelicans. So we had to make sure we didn't get swept by a non-playoff team last night, and we made sure of that. So tomorrow, Orlando, and I'll be heading down to the game with Adriana tomorrow to be reinforcements with my voice. Defense! 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 Yeah, it's going to be that right from the jump ball till the end of the game. Oh, yeah. We're going to come down there and bring that energy and make sure we're not losing to no flagellant Orlando Magic. They can't win a lot recently. Yeah, they're having trouble winning right now, which is good. Well, I ain't got no problem with that. Ain't got no problem with that. So, yeah, one game at a time, one day at a time, Raptors. I thought it was really smart what they did. Did you guys hear the news yesterday that one of the things they did with this return from the West Coast trip, because this is a notorious trap game, the first game back from a long West Coast road trip can be very messed up because of the swing of time zones. And well, the Raptors did something different than they never ever done. Normally, they play the game against the Clippers on Wednesday, and they jump on a plane immediately after the game and fly back to Toronto in the same night. But they didn't do that. On Wednesday night, they stayed in LA and slept overnight in LA, kept their bodies adjusted to that time zone and sleeping. And then they hung out in LA on Thursday and didn't get back to Toronto till 7 p.m. Thursday night before the game on Friday. And it actually really worked out. And then the other thing, one of the things we asked yesterday, why is the game at 8:30? That was the Raptors Redditor question of the day. Well, Josh Loomberg, he illuminated that yesterday on Blue Skies. And this was actually a calculated move by the Raptors when they saw the schedule from the NBA and the trip and coming back, they wanted to put this game at 8:30, not because of the Blue Jays, not because of the Pelicans audience in Louisiana being watching it at 7:30. No, they did it for their team to adjust from the West Coast trip to come back and be at a later time so that it wasn't such a stark difference between the 10:30 start in LA to an 8:30 start in Toronto. So it's only like 2 hours earlier than the game we played against the Clippers. And that worked. If you ask me, I think it very much was a smart strategy. And Darko did admit in the interview that him, Bobby, and other people with the team discussed this and did this strategically. So this was very much on purpose. So that's fantastic. Yeah, that is fantastic. So yeah, we got the reaction show today. The number, if you have it, you can call me. We'll put you on the air today. Ask that you guys call maybe after 10 a.m. Eastern time, if you don't mind. So you can give me about a half an hour of leading up and talking about the game, and then jump in and call if you feel like it. All right, let's start with the words of wisdom from Trevor J. I appreciate you, Trevor. Lots of news yesterday that we're going to have to go over for the tempo, and also just in general talking about the Raptors. And there is a 9:05 game today also. Actually, let's do that first. The Raptors 9:05 are playing their last regular season game today at Paramount Fide Food Center, and they will be hosting the Wisconsin Herd for the second of two games. And well, our referees on site will be crew chief Ian McClenny. He's number 59. Referee MP Malo out of Montreal, number 70. And umpire Billy McClatchy, number 31. So if you feel like watching some great Raptors basketball today, well, you can. At 6 p.m. Eastern time, the Raptors 9:05 will be live on YouTube. And it's just a fun, awesome watch. If you don't watch G League basketball because you think you're above it, you are missing out. You could be watching some of the best, fun, most dramatic Raptors basketball this season by watching the 9:05. And this matchup's going to be like that. Hey, do you mind closing the bathroom door? All right, let's see. So Ian McClenny, Mary Malo, and Billy McClatchy is the referees today. So yeah, Trevor J is saying this morning. Dear God, thank you for this new day. We trust that you are with us, walking before us to prepare the way behind us, to push us forward, and beside us to give us the strength. Your presence brings us peace. Okay, I like this. This is a basic prayer, I guess. And just thanking for another day on earth and another day of life. Excuse me a sec. I just want to do something real quick. I'll be right back. It's all right. It's all right. You're fine. I'm getting allergies. That's why. All right. Let me see here. I appreciate Trevor Jones for his words of wisdom. Blessing the Jones family, all the Raptor Freak family. Sorry, I had to take care of an errand just real quick there. Let's see. Your promises give us hope, and your joy, love fills us with joy today. Yeah, gratitude for the Creator and God should be mandatory every single day, and it's good to do it right away, first thing in the morning, because it'll set your day up right, which is good. Let's see. Trevor's saying this. Nice get back on the Pelicans last night. 5 Raptors scored 18 points, and Scotty got the chain. Yeah, Scotty got the chain, and rightfully so. Sometimes I'm having an allergy attack. That's what the problem is right now. It's because there's like a scent in the house that's kind of driving me nuts right now. Scotty had a good all-around game, and he deserved the chain. It's not always that Scotty gets the chain, because he can have a really good game and he doesn't get the chain because they give it to somebody else, but he straight up deserved the chain last night for the work that he did. So really, really happy for Scotty. There's gonna be a little bit of controversy or silliness because Scott played point guard yesterday. To me, honestly, I don't even really think he played point guard yesterday. I think that it's still kind of a thing where the Raptors do a committee with bringing the ball up the court. And, you could say Scotty was the point guard, but in some ways, it's like he played the way he always does. It's not really that different. You know, I actually thought in that lineup, you could actually say Walter was the point guard. You know, I know Scotty at the end of the game in the post game interview was saying things like, "Yeah, I like playing point guard," and they were talking about him playing point guard. And I know there's going to be some movement in Raptors Nation that people are going to be saying, "Oh, Scotty should be the point guard all the time," because this shit happened a long time ago. And well, with what happened last night, this is going to open up again. I still don't agree with it. I still don't agree with it. I think that it's good that we got the win, and I feel like it's a great luxury to have that option of having Scotty be the point guard, but I don't think he should be it full time. And part of the reason why we wanted to pair him with Quickly for this, dang, my noise is really messed up right now. Hang on. Part of the reason why we really wanted to pair Quickly with Scott is because he can play combo guard off of Scott's point guard. So there's different modes they can go into. And it doesn't, in some ways, the labels don't even really matter. Because, there's going to be times where RJ's bringing the ball up the court. There's going to be times when, Walter, Shed, even Mamu brings the ball up the court sometimes. And even Brandon. I think in some ways, if you want to look at it as like Scotty's like the passing hub on the offense, yeah, sure, that kind of happens. I mean, there is a powerful thing to him. Hang on a sec. I got to do something else. This is really bugging me, man. I'm getting a headache right now. Oh my gosh. It's that lavender. It's driving me nuts. It's your shampoo. It's a lot stronger than you think it is. And it's just making me have an allergy. It's the perfume in it. It's all right. I should have realized this might happen right when you did this. But I got to burn the sage. Yeah, you gotta, whenever you use the shower, you gotta turn the fan on and close the door and maybe even open the window so it airs out. It's just rules for the shower here. All right, I just want to clear the air. Yeah, I don't want to get an allergy attack on the ear. All right. Sorry about that. I'm gonna have a sneezing fit if I don't do something about it. And I just burned some sage. It's just a very strong perfume sense will set me off. All right, let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and do the stars of the game. Number one star is Scotty. We'll look at the stats real quick. Scotty had 36 minutes, 23 points on 10 of 14 shooting. He made all 3 of his free throws, 6 rebounds, 12 assists, 4 turnovers, 2 steals, 3 blocks, plus 16. Stat stuffing right across with 2 steals and 3 blocks, along with this 12 assists, a double-double at 23 and 12. And it's interesting because Scott didn't take a single 3-point shot. Normally he's going to get a couple of 3-pointers in, at least a couple of attempts. But yeah, 10 for 14, fantastic. We see him doing the measured mid-range shots, the very powerful turnarounds, the stop and pops. It doesn't matter who's guarding him, and they can't stop him. He's going to make it. It's fantastic. In fact, there was a moment where he made a shot over DeAndre Jordan, and it was kind of like, Scotty, you see how easy that was and what you just did over him? He's a pretty good defender from his history in the NBA. And it's like, yeah, you just stop and you elevate. They can't do anything to you, man. They can't stop you. You are unstoppable. And I really love that Scotty got over 20 points. In some ways, he was the leading scorer last night, but also he was team first and passed it around everybody. So we got a nice balance scoring around a whole bunch of people. But also he was the leader, and he made the most points. So that's fantastic. I really love that, the Pelicans are a shit talking team. They're annoying, man. They are annoying. I don't know what this is like now. All of a sudden, teams in the league are being little jerks, and specifically to us. Maybe this is part of the rhetoric of the idiot in charge of that country down there. Maybe there's all kinds of stupid stuff where people feel like they can disrespect the Canadian team because of that. Whatever it is, there's people talking trash to us. And on the Pelicans, there's like 4 guys that are absolute little assholes. 4 guys. Well, of course, we know DeJounte, who was a coward, didn't even show up and play in this game. I get it. He's not playing on back-to-backs, but how convenient. That man had a receipt coming to him, and he ducked out like a yellowtail coward. Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure he's talking a little bit from the bench, and I saw him when they'd show him on the, Pelicans bench. He was so happy when Zion was making the run back with the New Orleans Pelicans in the 3rd quarter. But, yeah, he's a little bitch. And then you had, Fears being really, really talkative for a rookie and talking smack to Shed. Once again, Shed in the middle of it, and Shed talking back to him, not backing down. And everybody's kind of like, who the fuck are you, Fears? And then Fears tried to do something, and Scotty blocked the shit out of him, which was awesome. And that's the right kind of response and message. It's like, yeah, who the fuck are you, Jeremiah Fears, with your bullshit? Seriously. And that, but it's not just like you can say that's a knuckleheaded rookie that acted that way. No, the veteran DeAndre Jordan's out there talking shit and acting out of his ass too, and talking trash to the Canadian team and talking all kinds of smack. Well, we had to mess him up too. We had to mess him up too, block his ass, make his ass look old as fuck, all that kind of stuff. I don't know why Alvin and Matt were talking about DeAndre Jordan's a future Hall of Famer. I don't see that. How's that man in the Hall of Fame? What did he do in his career to make him a Hall of Famer? Okay, he tagged along with Jokic and got a championship with the Nuggets just a couple years ago, but really, was he a main player in that? He was like the 3rd center or some crap like that. Are you going to go on all these years of this and this? There's a lot of guys who played a lot of years in the league. Sometimes I feel like it's politics and just bullshit that makes people sometimes get the Hall of Fame. And I don't think DeAndre Jordan's a Hall of Famer in the NBA. I'm sorry. He just isn't. And then you had tacky ass other rookie, Derek Queen, getting technicals and whining and crying to the refs too. Like, what's wrong with the Pelicans? Is their coach just not trying to get them to be disciplined and kind of keep all the extracurriculars out? Or is this part of the game plan? All their bullshit and they're talking out their ass kind of bullshit. Seriously. Who the fuck are y'all? Y'all are in the playoffs. And, the way y'all act and the way y'all talk, it don't match up with your aptitude of achievement. Let's just put it that way, Pelicans, with your bullshit. Seriously, I will say this. The guys that Brandon are friends with from back in the day, his teammates that he loves, Jose Alvarado, Trey Murphy, and Herb Jones, those are good quality people. Those are people that are great, decent human beings that are good quality people. And I won't lump the whole Pelicans team into the couple of idiots that I just named. Jordan Poole can be in the idiots pile too. But there are good people on the Pelicans team too. And I'd say Herb and Trey are definitely 2 respectable players. But those other guys are knuckleheads and a waste of time. Anyway, I love Scotty blocking people to get back at them for talking trash. I feel like that's a powerful thing. And in some ways, I like it when Scotty gets motivated because these guys are talking trash to go and block them. It's fun. I like that. I like that action. My second star of the game last night is Pirtle. Pirtle's underrated, man. It's occurred to me that, Pirtle and Barnes are a very dominant defensive duo. We had this question, the Raptors Redditor question earlier this week. Is Scotty Barnes the greatest defender in Raptors history of their franchise already? And I have to say, yeah, he is. He's the best defender we've ever had on the Toronto Raptors in our whole entire franchise history as he is right now. And I brought in the idea of Jakob Poeltl being a top 5 defender in our team's history also. And I think that's true because, he has a certain kind of positioning as a big man in his rim protection and the way he clogs the lane. And you also got to think about how active he is to come and help and come and agitate and block shots and mess up people from scoring. So, him and Scotty out there together is a very formidable big wall. And, to handle somebody like Williamson, you need that wall that Alvin was talking about last night, just like you need for Giannis. So you need good players like Yak and Scotty and Colin to form that wall. And those three guys as defenders, man, the Raptors with those three guys and then busy guard defenders like Walter and Shed are nasty. They mess up teams with that kind of combo between Scotty and Yak and Colin up front, and then the very busy guards making it all crazy outside. Yeah, it's a great defensive team, and Yak underrated is what we're saying. People say he's overpaid. You're fucking crazy. Seriously, it's just that he's dorky looking. He may miss some shots and look goofy sometimes. And everybody's like, oh, why are we paying this guy so much? He can't even do this. You guys are idiots. Do you not understand how hard his job is? And you can't look and see how much he adds to our team and is a difference. Like I said, we were playing the video game strong team last night. And we need strong players, strong as a yak, to be out there and do that. So don't sleep on how important Jakob Pearl is, and don't listen to ESPN when they say he's not worth the contract he's on. That is all horse shit. That is absolute propaganda bullshit. He is worth that money. Trust me. And they'd say, oh, they shouldn't have extended him. No, we need this insurance at this center position for years to come. We don't need to lose our center because our center is very vital and important. They're going to say, oh, he's going to be too old. He's not going to be earning the contract. Bullshit. That man is strong, and he is still young enough to earn that contract and to play at a very high level in the years to come. That's just all bullshit propaganda that they're saying to try and make it seem like the Raptors did a bad thing. But the reality is that Jakob Poeltl makes the Raptors a better chance to win, and our enemies don't like that. And that's why they want to cause division in our fan nation on Jakob Poeltl as a subject. So wake up and stop being sheep for the wrong side of things and share in the pleasure and joy of loving Jakob Poeltl and saying this is the guy is badass and he's on our team and we love the Austrian Hammer. You see these amazing layups he's doing right from the start of the game, reverse underneath the basket, little push shots. How many fast passes does Scotty throw to him all of a sudden, and he's immediately putting the ball in the basket? It's like the drop off. You know, Scotty is a hard person to catch from sometimes. Jacoby couldn't catch a couple that he sent him yesterday. But Jakob is catching the fastest passes where not even the defense is tricked, but we're tricked at home. We're not even seeing it coming at home. All of a sudden, wait, whoa, the ball goes there. Oh, Yak's got it. Boom, he's put it in. He's put it in. We saw some Mamu Yak lineup last night, which was awesome. And we've been talking recently on this show about two-man game with the Raptors. Did you think you'd get to see a Mamu Yak two-man game where they're playing off each other, pass, boom, basket, easy basket, right there underneath the basket, Mamu and Yak two-man game? That's fun, man. So Poeltl, 30 minutes, 18 points, 9 of 11 from the field. He didn't shoot a single free throw. That's kind of bogus. 11 rebounds, so a double-double. 3 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, 1 block, a plus 15. Yeah, what's wrong with Yak? 18 and 11. What's wrong with Yak? What people have a problem with Yak? You're messed up, man. Once again, I'll say you ask somebody their opinion on Jakob Poeltl, and that can tell you all you need to know about whether they're a real Raptor fan or not. Because anybody who's a real Raptor fan stands by Poeltl and says, man, I love this guy being on my team. Because block up, Fleeterhausen layups, and all the other stuff he does. And you can see the communication him and Scott have and the way that they play off each other. There's a lot of trust in Big Poeltl from his teammates. I'm just saying, man, you guys don't sleep on this shit. Don't be a casual and not understand the vital role that Jakob Poeltl plays for the Raptors. The third star of the game for me is off the bench, and it's Sandro Mamu Kelishvili. Sandro did something last night that I had not seen him do most of the season like that. He was really crazy active, really a lot of energy. In fact, there was this weird period in the third where Zion took over, and he absolutely was crushing us, and he was making the lead go away and threatening for the Pelicans to take over the game and win it. Well, there were a couple of problems there. First of all, we neutralized him with Scott, which was awesome. That was very smart. We needed to bring Scotty in to muscle up against him because nobody else could really handle Zion. He's just a special combination as a strength and a speed player. Well, Mamu, well, he counterbalanced all the Zion energy in the third by going crazy whirling dervish style, Georgian crazy man style. And that meant he was all over the place. He was running all up and down the court, not tiring out. And his hustle and his getting after it really paid off. He really infused our team with a lot of energy in the second half with the way he was getting after boards, the way he was running on the fast break, his 3-point shots. He was just doing everything all over the place in all kinds of ways. In the beginning of the game, there was one play where Mamu tried to throw it down and at the rim and he missed it. But man, if he had made that dunk, it was a monster dunk. And it could have been one of the best dunks in the whole entire NBA the whole season. It was that nasty. Alas, he didn't make the dunk, which is too bad. But Sandro was amazing last night. And it really was energy. That's the word for Sandro in the game last night. 21 minutes. He wasn't out there a whole lot. 18 points, 7 of 14 from the field, 3 of 5 from three. He was 1 of 2 at the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 turnovers, a steal and a block, a +9. Yeah, Sandro, man, you are awesome. And you're a big part of why we won the game yesterday. We needed a team effort, and we got team effort from multiple guys. And all 5 of the stars got 18 points, and they were the main guys. All right, so Sandro, number 3. Number 4 was RJ. Now, RJ had an interesting game. He got hurt at one point in the game. He got hit on his shoulder into Williamson, his former college teammate from Duke. No hard feelings there. Very close friends, just like Missy and Walter from Baylor. They're very close friends. Lots of ties that bind between the two teams. Brandon Ingram, the Pelicans, but no love lost in the Barrett thing where, it was scary. We saw him go to the back. He's holding his shoulder. We don't like that. Zion's a load, a rock, a wall, somebody to run into. It's not good. I mean, he just kind of got underneath him and twisted his shoulder a little bit. It looks like maybe I think they said it was a separated shoulder is what happened, but maybe they just popped it back in and he came back out there and he continued to play because he came back for the second half and that was fantastic. And RJ is just, he's one of those guys that just represents the country really well. Yeah, 31 minutes for RJ Barrett, 18 points on 7 of 14 shooting, just like Mamu, 50%, 2 of 6 from 3, made both his free throws, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 turnovers, a +26, the highest plus minus out of all the Raptors yesterday. Yeah, RJ, man, I'm just so happy that he returned to the game. I'm glad that it looked like he seemed like he's doing pretty good. He was kind of still getting physical with Zion after the going to the back of the locker room. So that's a good sign that he's all right. Now, hopefully we don't hear anything weird with the injury report because there is something that happened and he just played through it last night. But I think he's okay. It seems like he's going to be all right. My last star of the game, number 5, is Walter. Jacoby got the start instead of Shed, which was an interesting thing. Some people are reading into it too much, saying that, oh, Shed's this or Shed's that. Darko kind of explained it after the game. He said, we don't have Emmanuel, our starting point guard right now, and Shed's kind of our only point guard after that. And I think that he valued Shed coming off the bench and leading the backup team. And, to be honest, Shed's offense right now is not totally there. And to start, you need to kind of add offense. Now, Darko made it very clear what Shed's role is. It's defense first, and then to distribute the ball. And his offense is like a third option, a third thing on the list. But yeah, Walter got the start, and I didn't automatically think in that lineup once again that Scotty was the point guard. I think of Walter as being somebody who could be a point guard. Now, he didn't really play point guard and bring the ball up, but that is an option in this lineup. If you really think about it, other than Yak, all 4 of the guys who started last night can bring the ball up the court and be the point guard or point forward or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, Jacoby had a mix of excellence. He's excellent on the defensive end, and he's excellent as a 3-point threat and shooter right now. And the thing about Jacoby that's fun is because his game's so built on good basic fundamentals and doing things the right way that he's dependable. That's why you get dependable like he is. It's because the foundation of everything he's ever done to learn how to play basketball has been the right way. And he does it all fundamentally really well. And that's why whether it's drives to the basket, whether it's 3-point shots, whatever he's doing it in a really sound fundamental way. That's the right way to do it. And that's why he's successful. 34 minutes, 18 points for Jacoby also. 6 of 14 from the field, 4 of 10 from three. Those three-pointers are big time. And he really is becoming our premier three-point shooter right now. 2 for 4 at the free throw line, though. Yeah, concentrate a little better there. 1 rebound, 4 assists, 1 turnover, a plus 22. Yeah. I think we're all simultaneously falling in love more with Jacoby Walter this year. I think that it's clear that, he's head and shoulders above some of the other guys, and that this guy is a keeper as far as a rotation player for the Raptors for years to come. And that is a very astute, smart draft pick, getting Jacoby late in the first round, the year we got him. And, I'm just proud of the guy because, he's another one of these players where he's not the biggest player. He is technically undersized for his position, but because of the long wingspan, he gets away with not being the tallest at his position. Because in some ways his wingspan matches or is even bigger than some of his competitors at his position. So yeah, those are my 5 stars of the game: Scotty, Jakob, Sandro, RJ, and Jacoby. Now, I'll give an honorable mention to Colin Murray-Boyles, who played in the first half of the game, but then had back spasms and had to not play the second half of the game. In some ways, that annoyed me because, they were noticing in the first half how Murray-Boyles and Williamson had similar frames, and he's a good foil for Zion. And I think that was part of the problem in the second half when Williamson went off, was that Murray-Boyles didn't return to the game for the second half. And Zion Williamson became a big bully and really throwing his weight around, like literally, to get the Pelicans to try and get a spark to come back. Well, Murray-Boyles out there in 12 minutes, he had 9 points. He was on 3 of 5 shooting. He had 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 2 rebounds, and 1 block, a +2. That 1 block was really good too. He blocked DeAndre Jordan. And this is the thing. DeAndre Jordan had a role in the game last night that was, I don't know if the coach told him to do this, but this is a veteran thing that sometimes veterans will do to help their team try and get going. The Raptors were rolling. The Pelicans were flat. So DeAndre Jordan did Draymond Green. He came out and he tried to be a shit disturber by talking trash and intimidating our team, coming out, talking trash and saying this and that and bullying us, verbally bullying us, and then also trying to bully us physically with his size. And I like Colin's response. He's had a couple people try him in 2 games now. It happened in the Clippers too. And he basically is like, no, I'm not putting up with this shit. I'm going to either block you or I'm going to dunk it on your head. And he does this. And, he blocked the crap out of DeAndre Jordan after DeAndre started his mess. Now, it's a smart strategy that old vets that are, kind of jerks like Draymond Green will do to try and throw the other team off their game mentally by trying to punk them verbally and talking trash. And you saw it at the free throw lines. He was talking, and Scotty talked trash back to DeAndre Jordan and told him to shut up. And, Colin too. And, Colin did it with his game. And when he blocked DeAndre Jordan, know that was the message. That was the response to his bullshit. Now, tussling with big guys like Jordan and Williamson may have been what aggravated his back and made him have a back spasm. So, Colin, good job being out there. In some ways, I like the ability for you with your strength to kind of fight bullies off for the Raptors like this. And that was what that guy tried to do. Seriously, it's messed up. All right, Brandon Ingram had a decent, not really, it was kind of 31 minutes, 13 points, 5 of 13 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, and 1 block. Yeah, he's not trying. when he plays New Orleans. I'm just going to say that outright. He's not trying. And I think that Darko called him out on it one of the times he pulled him off the court. There was like a point where he kind of said something to Brandon when he's coming off the court. And I don't often see Darko talking harshly to Ingram. Like he talks harshly to people like Grady and Sandro and Shed and Colin, young guys. But he did actually kind of like dog out Brandon Ingram in one of the times where he brought him out of the game last night. If you caught it, you saw what I saw. And rightfully so. I mean, there is something wrong there. Now, how often are we going to have to play the Pelicans? Well, twice a year. And if we see them in the playoffs, it's in the finals. So, and that's not likely. So, I mean, we can get away with this goofy love fest that Brandon has for his former team and not worry about him contributing in games against the Pelicans in the future, because I think that's not going to be the case. I think that we've seen it now 2 games, and he's just not going to be the normal BI3 against his former team. I can just tell. And it is a lot like Siakam when he plays the Raptors. And Pacers fans in some ways got to accept that Pascal's not going to go all out and try and kill the Toronto Raptors. It's just not in his DNA of the way he was conditioned for years playing for the Raptors. And I think it's the same for Brandon. It's just how it is. We saw Brandon's girlfriend and his dad sitting at courtside during the game last night. Yeah, I think that it's fine just as long as we beat the Pelicans. And well, Brandon, you may not play as much in these games or have to do as much because in some ways we don't trust you to do it. We'll let Scott be the number one and he can lead the team and he can do the things to help us get to the win for sure. Because in some ways we got to wonder if you're a double agent. That's the thing right there. Yeah. Going over the rest of the guys, it's really not a whole lot from the rest of them. They did get in a couple guys. Well, Shed, 25 minutes. He didn't score, but he got 8 assists, 1 turnover, and 2 steals, and he was a plus 13. Listen, this is what Darko said about Shed. He's there to play defense. He's a bulldog. He has to play crazy defense, and when he plays that winning style like he did in Houston, where he's a really tough defender, he gets after it. He's doing winning plays in the ways that he can to try and win. That's when we're our best. And well, he can be a distributor too. But in some ways, his confidence in his shot's not very good right now. And his shot isn't very good. He took 3 threes and missed all 3 of them. But in some ways, it's like all players and even teams, you go through slumps. And he's just kind of going through a time where his offense isn't the best. Does that mean he's not worth playing? No, because he has all kinds of other things he adds to winning without himself even scoring. So it was a little bit, maybe a little dismaying that he didn't get to start last night because he may have felt like, oh, a demotion. But in some cases, you gotta. I think that what it is more that Darko likes having you as the leader of the second unit, and you keep that second team organized. And in some ways, the backup point guard is a very important role, and you are very good at that, Jamal Shed. Very, very good. Even if you didn't make any shots last night. Going over the rest of the guys, Battle, 4 minutes, 0 points, 1 rebound, 1 steal, 1 block. He's an active guy. He's another big guy that can kind of mix it up and get rebounds and play somewhat defense. Mobo, 4 minutes for him. He missed his only shot. He didn't make any points. 1 rebound, 1 assist, -10. The garbage time for the Raptors was absolutely dreadful. Every single thing they could do wrong, they did. And they let them come back and make the lead only 13 by the end of the game. We were beating them by over 20 when garbage time started. And that was only like less than 2 minutes of the game. And they still managed to look horrible with a bunch of turnovers, lazy passes, where the Pelicans just jumped in the passing lane and got some scores to catch up. And yeah, just ugly stuff by Fultz and Dick and Mobo and Lawson and Martin, those guys out there. Yeah, but at least they got out on the court and got to run around a little bit. Markelle Fultz scored a basket. He got 2 points in 2 minutes, 1 for 2 from the field. He had a turnover also. Yeah, and somebody's just like, it's Markelle Fultz. He's along for the ride. He's a Raptor, but like I said, what is he? He's not impressing me. AJ Lawson got out there for an early shift before the garbage time for 3 minutes, but didn't really get to shoot the ball or anything. But he did have 2 rebounds, and I like that. I like that AJ's getting some meaningful minutes with the Raptors, even if they're very few. It's a nice kind of thank you for a great season. Hopefully, him and Elijah are ready to play today because we need them against Wisconsin Herd today. That's right. Elijah Martin, 2 minutes, 1 rebound, 1 turnover, and that's it. He was a -7. And then Grady, 2 minutes. He missed a three and he got a turnover, and that's it. Yeah, not very impressive for those end of the bench guys getting in their garbage time, just not utilizing it. Maybe they needed Garrett out there. Garrett would have kept them organized. So, yeah, that's the box score for the team. On the other side, I'll recognize Zion for 22 points on 9 of 13 shooting, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He's just a real force. He's very difficult to stop. And like I said, this is a very big, strong team with a lot of different players that are very strong, stronger than average. So, yeah, I'll just recognize Zion for the other side. And that's it. Team stats, just real quick. We'll go through. The Raptors shot 52% to their 42. That's a key stat. We made more threes than them, 10-7 threes for the Raptors, which is a key stat for us to win. When we beat the other team in threes, that's rare. And that's usually a sign we can beat them if we do. 13 of 18 at the free throw line for the Raptors, 72%. We could clean that up a little better still. And they got to the line way more than us. So yeah, Mark Davis and Kevin Cutler were looking out for the Pelicans. But if there's a certain amount of beating them over that, that doesn't matter if the refs are favoring the other team. If we're just playing really well and we can beat the refs' calls too. And that's what we did. Rebounds, we did out rebound them 46-43. And that's absolutely vital for Jakob and other people like that. Colin Murray-Boyles, Scotty, RJ, different people mixing it up in there because the Pelicans are a strong team and it's hard to rebound against them. So we beat them at rebounds 46-43. So we beat them in rebounds and 3 points made. Those are two key stats that we can win a game every time we win those two together. That's what I'm saying. Assist to turnover ratio 36-14 for the Raptors, which is almost 3-1, almost. And they had 21-14 on their side. Let's see. Points in the paint. They did beat us +2, 62-60. And 17 fast break points for the Raptors. We led the game pretty much the whole game, which was awesome. And that's I love watching a game like that. There wasn't too much stress. There was a little bit when Williamson was starting to make his moves. But for the most part, the game was enjoyable to watch because you felt like, they're handling things. They're keeping a good cushion. And let's just cruise to the end and get the win. And that's what happened. That's what happened. Yeah, it was really, really good. Really, really good. All right, Trevor's brought up that the Houston Rockets. All right, this is the thing. The Houston Rockets owner has just bought the Connecticut Sun. The Connecticut Sun, of course, play in Connecticut. Well, they're going to move the team to Houston, and they're going to bring back the Houston Comets, which is a very historic WNBA team. It was one of the most winning teams in the history of the WNBA. They won like a lot of the early WNBA championships with Cynthia Cooper and Tina Thompson and players like that on their team. So, yeah, I think Cheryl Swoops was on the team with them too. So, yeah, this is great for nostalgia. In some ways it's not. I mean, I think that the Connecticut market's good because of UConn and the Lady Huskies and the history of that college team. But in some ways, it's kind of confusing. Connecticut Sun. I don't know. In some ways, is that area of the country going to be missing out because the WNBA is not in New England right there anymore? Like, was the Connecticut Sun loosely based to the Celtics? No, not really. They're not tied together. So this makes sense. I think that the Houston market would love to have the WNBA back. And as I said, the Comets were a very, very, very successful team with a rich history. So I feel like this is a good thing. This is a good thing. $300 million. That's how much they bought the Sun for. Wow. Of course, the Connecticut Sun are going to be the first team that the Tempo are going to play in the preseason at the end of next month. So the first ever game they're going to play it's not the first regular season game, but it's the first preseason game will be against this team that just got sold that's going to Houston. Yeah. All right. This is the big news. Yesterday, they had the coin flip for the expansion teams, the Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo, and we won the coin flip. The Tempo won the coin flip, and we elected to take the higher draft pick in the draft and not pick first in the expansion draft. So I don't know if it was Monica Wright Rogers or Teresa Resch or Sandy Brondello, all three of them deciding together. But they decided that they value the draft pick, which makes more sense, picking at 6 in the WNBA draft more than having the first pick in the expansion draft. So that's pretty cool. I think it's the kind of thing where in the expansion draft, the pool of players is probably there's probably an equal kind of two top couple players that it's like there's not much difference. And maybe it is more valuable to have the 6th pick in the regular draft than to have the first pick in the expansion draft. That makes sense to me. So I'm happy that they won the coin flip because in some ways that's kind of like already showing, hey, winning. We won the coin flip, Toronto Tempo. Woo! I mean, that's pretty cool. I like that. Yeah, the picks that we're picking at, because it's like it sets through the draft. They'll pick number 6 in the first round, they'll pick number 22 in the second round, and they'll pick number 36 in the 2026 entry draft. So yeah, those are the draft picks that the Tempo will get for the first ever draft they'll participate in. Nameless is here, the Italian plumber. Let's see what he's saying this morning. Let's see. He's saying, good morning, ladies and Raptors. Raptors didn't play with their food last night. And he's got the oil drums of Canadian maple syrup. Yeah, that's an old allusion to an old thing on this show. You got to pour on thick layers of Canadian, 100% Canadian maple syrup to get that good lead and keep that lead over the team you're playing. And I like that. I like that. See, he brought out the Canadian maple syrup. That's a throwback right there, Nameless. I don't even talk about that very much anymore. He's got the Italian spaghetti and pasta sauce too. Very interesting. Is that soup? I can't tell. Is that soup? No, that's spaghetti. That's spaghetti. That's not a bowl. All right. Nameless, I'm going to give you a dunk for bringing up the old school 100% Canadian maple syrup. Because it's been a while. I don't bring that up hardly anymore. You got the Amir Johnson 15, my guy. 15 dunks for Nameless at this point. All right, James is here. Good morning to James. Point God, Scotty. The thing that I don't like about him playing point guard is that he can get pigeonholed this way, and not in a good way. Not in a good way. I've been a very strong proponent of not developing Scotty as a point guard in the NBA, and it's because of the great post work that he does. In some ways, if he has the ball, he can't be in the post to catch the ball, to do the crazy turnarounds and all the really good stuff he's doing in the low post right now. So it's like, I don't want people to get used to this. I don't want people to be like, we need to do this every game from now on, because we shouldn't. This was partly because IQ's out. This is a big reason why. And, I know there's going to be a lot of people in Raptors Nation. They're going to be very like, we have to have Scotty be the point guard from now on. And I'm not for this. I think that it's a good look to do sometimes. It may actually be very smart to hold off doing it and use it as a secret weapon, especially in a high profile playoff game or situation where we're in, we need a different look and spice it up and change it up real quick. But I think that his bread and butter and his best offensive moves are off ball and with his back to the basket, because we're seeing a whole part of his game get developed because we haven't pigeonholed him as a point guard in the low post and with the mid-range stuff. So I would say this: let's not want this regularly. If it's something we can practice and use every once in a while to pop it on people, that's smart. That's better strategy. But we'll wear this shit out if we make this 24/7 every single game, 82 games a season. We will wear this shit out and it'll get messed up. And in some ways, he might turn out to be like, in some ways, like stunning his growth because he's not doing the other stuff. That's what I'm saying. He has a proclivity to be the distributor and point guard naturally without being determined that. We've seen it already. So for me personally, and I don't know, you guys can have your own opinions, I'm not encouraging this 24/7. And a lot of people probably will going forward. And they'll do it at the detriment of saying we don't need a manual anymore and stuff like that, crazy garbage like that, which is not true. We do need a manual. We do need a manual. But you know what? He's fantastic point guard. Scotty is a good point guard. I'm not saying he's not a bad point guard. It's just that he's it's just the best thing for him to be the most powerful potential NBA player is to not play point guard. Does that make sense? And this has been my argument for years now, pretty much since he was a rookie. And well, they in somewhat not that they listened to me, they've done what I've thought, and it's worked out for Scotty better because of that. I can make that argument. If we'd started him at point guard from rookie year right up until now, I don't know if we have all these turnaround shots at the baseline. I don't know if we have the Kawhi like offensive shooting because he's too set on passing to everybody else and he's not looking for himself. Did Jason Kidd ever develop a post game down low in the way that Scotty's done it? No, because he was just going to pass it to everybody and go all over the place like that. So I don't know. That's the way I look at it. It's for me, it's like a fun thing every once in a while, but it shouldn't be the norm. That's what I'm saying here. Uji Bougie's here. Good morning to Uji Bougie, a great Raptor freak. Been showing up recently. Good to see you, man. Was nice to see Jacoby go off a bit, and the synchronicity of Yak and Mamu was nice to see. Yeah, I like the Mamu Yak lineup. That was hinted on earlier this year. At very beginning of the year, Jakob was asked about Sandro's presence on the team and about whether he was excited about playing alongside Mamu. He's like, yeah, he's a very different kind of center, and I think there could be a lot of fun in that. Is kind of what he said. Well, we saw it last night. You know, you got two pretty talented passing bigs, and some of that's the prerequisite to be on our team. You have to be able to pass back and forth to play in Darko's offense. And you know, that was really fun seeing the chemistry between Mamu and Yak. Yeah, I call those Mamu Yak lineups. And when we see the Mamu Yak lineup, when both of them are out on the court, it's fun. You know, there's been three kind of fun lineups that I like to call out when they happen. Quick Shed is one of them. When we have the Quick Shed lineup out there, that's always fun because that's a different look. It kind of harkens to Lowry and Van Vliet in some ways. And then you got your Battle Dick lineups when you have Jameson and Grady out there at the same time. They spread the floor. Well, there's Mamu Yak lineups. And that's a big lineup with Sandro and Jakob out there. And yeah, it was fun. It's fun to see their you call it synchronicity. Okay, police. All right. I don't remember if Poole played last time they beat us, but no Trey Murphy the third and no Murray was a totally different feel of this round. Yeah, offensively this round. Yeah, they had to play Poole last night, which is weird. They don't normally play Poole. Poole has not been playing. Like, where did this guy go with his career? You know, it's kind of interesting. It's a cautionary tale. Jordan Poole was on the Warriors, an understudy of Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, the junior Splash brother. His name is Poole. How fitting. What happened there? Well, he said something wrong to Draymond and he got punched in the face in practice and it got caught on camera. You know, he has a punchable face. He also is a jerk from what I've heard with the way he talks to people. Well, what has his odyssey been since he was outcasted from the Warriors to the Wizards? And then he spent a couple years there, and then he got traded from there to the Pelicans, and now he's just sitting on the bench, riding around with the Pelicans, a non-playoff team. He's not even playing, hardly. Yeah, and you saw while he's out there, you know, he didn't make his shots very well. And we even had the classic Jordan slips on a pool of invisible water on the court at one point during the game. That's always a fun moment. It's kind of like a signature thing for him where he kind of like slips on the floor and falls over. And, you know, that's kind of interesting. I noticed that he had one of those on the baseline last night. But yeah, he should just be feeling lucky he got in the game. That's what I would say about that. He should just feel lucky he got in the game. Trey Murphy is a fantastic player, and they definitely missed him last night. But yeah, it was a different kind of team. I think that there was a couple of different factors different than the game in New Orleans where they beat us. One of them was missing Trey Murphy. And then another one was that Brandon was not doing a homecoming love fest that's distracting from our team and kind of making it all kind of like not really a game and more like a celebration of Brandon being back in New Orleans. That was a big factor in the last game too. That kind of tainted the competition. Let's just put it that way. Uji Bougie saying this: Scotty running point is always fun to watch. Someone with the mental skills of Magic and the physical size of Rodman makes the game fun to watch, and the players respond with effort. See, I don't even know why you put Rodman in there because the man's got the same body as Magic. That's pretty much the same body as Magic Johnson. So you don't even need Dennis in there. You just say someone with the mental skills of Magic and the physical size of Magic. Because it's kind of the same thing. Magic Johnson is a good comparison for Scotty, and in some ways, yeah, Magic was able to do his post game still as the point guard for the Lakers in the '80s. In fact, he backed people down a lot, especially because his person was usually a 6-foot guard like Isaiah or somebody, and he could go to town on the mismatch of him being that. In some ways, you would think that's something that classically that classic kind of mismatch when you have an oversized point guard like a Penny Hardaway or a Magic Johnson, you can get that advantage in today's NBA. But no, you can't. You can't do this like you used to because of switchability. And in some ways, like the positions don't even matter at this point. There's so many switches on defenses now. And it's not like if we say, okay, Scotty's the point guard, that the other team's going to choose to put their smallest guy on him on defense. They're going to go and get one of the bigger guys to guard him anyway. So it's kind of tough to manipulate the situation. Like it was easier for Magic in some ways in the '80s because the way everybody lined up in the lineup, the center's going to guard the center, the four is going to guard the four, the three, the 2, the 1, the 1 is way more like that. But in today's NBA, the talent is so very strong at all positions, the switchability is very possible that you can't really do it the way we used to, like the old game. And so that's why, in some ways, some of the advantages that you would get with Scotty being guarded by a smaller guard playing point guard are not there. You only get those from switches on offense. You get a switch to a mismatch. And then all of a sudden, boom, Scotty's got Jeremiah Fears on his back, and he can back him down and shoot over him like a little baby. Stuff like that. But yeah, it is fun to watch him play point, but in some ways, once again, I don't know how much different Scotty played last night than he's been playing all year. In some ways, it's kind of like not totally different though, too. In some ways, it's just a label, and we're just saying he's the point guard tonight. But how much different did he really play than he normally does? I mean, really, is it because IQ's out? Is this something like where the media wants to cause controversy on the Raptors team, so there's a point guard controversy? No, we don't want any of that. We don't need that energy. These guys play basketball. 5 guys show up and they play and they do their thing. That's the way I look at it. That's it right there. Trevor's saying the Hawks and the Kings and the Sixers and the Hornets tonight. So the Atlanta Hawks are playing the Sacramento Kings. DeMar's been trying to do us some solids. They played the Magic, I think, the other day too, the Kings. And he got like 33 points. He like Siakam, I think, is looking at the standings and understanding what position we are in, the Raptors. And in some ways, that affinity for the old team is kicking in as far as like, I want to do a solid for them and I want to kick this team's ass because they're in a playoff race with my old team, the Raptors. And well, DeMar did get like 33. They didn't beat the Magic, but he did try his ass off to try and beat them himself. So maybe DeMar can do us a solid tonight and he can try and beat the Hawks. Maybe he can get up for that. Is Nickel helping us too? Is SGA, the Canada guys are helping Toronto? Pascal's helping Toronto. DeMar helped Toronto. Get Precious to help you too against the Hawks. Let's see it, DeRozan. Let's see if you can get a W for your team, the Kings, and vicariously you can help the Raptors. Speaking of Kings, today is a big day in the States and in Canada and around the world, honestly. It's No Kings Protest Day. And up here in Canada, in Ontario, it's Ford Protest Day, where they're protesting Doug Ford. And there's a lot of rallies around the province, around the country of Canada, around the whole entire country of the United States. Many, many people will be mobilized now on the streets. The mainstream media may not show the bulk and size of these movements, but know it's coming. And you could actually join one today. There's probably one in your neighborhood. And the protests here in Canada are a combination of protesting the regime, the criminal regime of Donald Trump, but also protesting the criminal regime of Doug Ford in Ontario. Because look, you guys, don't kid yourself. Doug Ford is in the ilk of Donald Trump. He doesn't want to answer to anybody. He wants to run this province like he's a king, and he just makes willy-nilly decisions for helping his business partners make a bunch of money. So that's exactly Donald Trump's monikers. And well, we can't afford to have somebody like that running the great province of Ontario. So I support everybody getting in the streets protesting Doug Ford in Ontario today. And I really support all the people in the States also. They're coming out this afternoon. And if you have free time today and you feel strongly about the future of the world and some of the problems that are being caused by these dictatorial leaders in North America right now, well, make your voice heard, show your presence today outside in the streets at your local protest. They're all over the place. I mean, they're having them out in the little towns out here where I live, not just in the big cities like Toronto and Barrie. So, you guys get out there if you can and show your support. If you feel helpless and some of the things that have been happening in the world today, this is where you can do something and make yourself feel good because you feel like you're doing something to help in some sort of way. So get out there and do it. Seriously, I highly encourage you guys to. Yeah, Sixers are playing the Hornets today. Well, one of them has to lose, right? And I hope it's the Sixers, honestly. I don't mind if the Hornets get this one because if I look at the standings right now, the Sixers are only a full game behind us. So now we are 12 games back of Detroit. Atlanta's at 12 and a half games. So we're a half game ahead of Atlanta. And then the Sixers are 13 games back. So they're the closest to us. And in some ways, the Hornets, well, even though they'll keep getting steam, I'd much rather in some ways them do well than Nick Nurse and the Sixers. Orlando's been sinking. They've only won 4 out of their last 10. And well, we'll play them tomorrow, but they're not as much as a threat right this second as they were a couple weeks ago. Now, it's still important that we beat Orlando tomorrow and we beat Miami both the games. We're going to play them in April, even if they're kind of falling off and being more down at the bottom of the play-in right now. So, yeah, Uji Bougie saying the Kings don't win a lot, but I want to see DeMar and Russ when he's active. Yeah. Russell Westbrook has a chip on his shoulder. He may have had the best interview this whole entire year for the press and just calling him out. And like the way he treated that interview was so top notch. It's weird because I used to not respect Russell as a person. I respected his stats and his triple-double like accomplishments, but I didn't like him as a person. But I've learned to like him more and more as time goes on. And it's like I hear what he says in this press conference and calling out the press and just, the other stuff that's happened to him, like fans being ugly to him. It's made me like him and respect him way more. The other person that's like that too is Kyrie. I used to not really respect Kyrie at all, like maybe 5 years ago. But at this point, I have an immense respect for Kyrie Irving. And, even if you were that hurt this year, you didn't play for Dallas this year. Good for you. Good for you. Uji Bougie saying 905 matches can definitely be fun. They get speedy a lot of times. Always is intriguing to see who steps up game to game. They're dramatic. They can be very close and like a crazy finish where it's back and forth and it's just high drama. And, the basketball's improved. The G League could be kind of hard to watch a few years ago. A lot of turnovers, really sloppy. But it's a testament to how basketball is elevating its game overall, is that like the talent in the G League is taking it more seriously. They're playing more team oriented instead of just a bunch of individuals trying hard for themselves and nobody's connecting and doing anything. And specifically, that's why, this year has been one of the most fun to watch for the Raptors 905 is because Andrew Jones demands a team game and there's no going off script for yourself. And that's always been a problem with the G League. Why would you watch a game where 5 guys are just on their own agenda and they don't play as a team and they're just like having a up and down the court, kind of like a street ball game that you could see around the corner in your neighborhood? Because that's what G League used to be. But now, with knowing that, some of the best teams in G League, when they're together and playing as a team and then melding their talents like the 905 have been this year, It can be a very entertaining, pure basketball team sport entertainment to watch. You know, it can be like that. Yeah, a couple of years ago, it was hard to watch. It was unwatchable, in fact, sometimes. But now it's quality basketball, and I would say the same thing about the Canadian Elite Basketball League, that they have really good quality basketball too, team-oriented basketball that is very, very quality, that is worth watching. Seriously, Canadian Elite Basketball League schedule is out. So if you have a team in your area, Ottawa Blackjacks, Calgary Surge, Vancouver Bandits, check out your schedule and see when the games are, and maybe you can go to a Canadian Elite Basketball League game this season. Because yeah, the schedule's out. It just came out just recently. Stargate saying, "Damn, you really are that tall, Lex." Yeah, yeah, I am like almost 6'5". I'm a decent sized point guard, undersized shooting guard, but I can play like a center. Most of the time when I play center because I'm usually one of the tallest people, and I definitely do have a reach. Like I was talking about wingspan. Yeah, I got a wingspan. Block the shit out of some people. I got timing too. That's the other thing. You can have the long wingspan, but if you don't have any timing and rhythm, you won't block nobody. And well, Colin Murray-Boyles has timing and rhythm, and so does Lex. That's why if they ever had me play in any media day game, I would be fucking Matumbo out there on their motherfucker asses. Yeah, I would be. Samson Falk, get that shit out of here. Yeah, old 6 foot, almost 6'5" Lex blocking your shot. That's right. You put the shoes on. I'm probably 6'4" on my feet, but with shoes on, I'm like almost 6'5". Fiercely saying, "Good morning, fam, and happy Saturday. Great win yesterday. All starters in double digits as well as Mamu off the bench. Garbage time lineup was hella weak, though. -7 for Dick, Fultz, and Martin. They got out there and they got more time on the court, and Markelle Fultz scored a basket as a Raptor. So, it's something. It's a little deflating. But hey, we won the game and they didn't cough the game up or anything like that. Hey, they got some time out there. AJ Lawson hadn't played on the Raptors court for a little while there. So it was good to see him out there. Fiercely saying, I was nervous about Scotty being the point guard, but he actually did very well. Yeah, he was fine. He was fine. In some ways, it's just a label once again. It's not like he didn't do a whole lot different in a lot of ways, right? Like in some ways, it's just a label. You know, I don't even think we should be like worried about who's the point guard on this Raptors team because we have so many different guys who can bring the ball up the court and they can technically be called the point guard. You could say RJ is a point guard sometimes. You could say Jacoby's a point guard. And it may be just on the trip up the court. Brandon Ingram's been bringing the ball up and just going right into his offense with the ball without even having to have the ball passed to him. In some ways, is he a point guard? I don't know. He's not getting assists. How do you designate this? It's the guy who has the most assists? All right, it is Scott then. Scott is the point guard because he got 12. He got 12. Uji Bougie saying, fiercely, I agree. That doesn't work out well for the playoffs. Garbage line, -7 in 1 minute was crazy work. Yeah, it's kind of more it was kind of more what is the garbage time doesn't really matter, honestly. They had some pretty talented guys out there for their garbage time. It's not like they had an end of the bench come out there. I mean, they have Jordan Poole out there as one of their garbage time players. They put Micah Peavy out there. I mean, he was really the only garbage time player out there. Jordan Hawkins got regular minutes, and he was one of the ones who kept stealing the ball and bringing it back up the court. So, yeah, and they had Fears out there still, and he started. So it's like they didn't really have an end of the bench. They had guys that were warmed up in the game, and then like Micah Peavy, and that was their garbage time lineup. So they were that's part of why they looked so bad is because at the last couple minutes, most of the guys on the Pelicans side had been playing the whole game and warmed up, and all of our guys were just coming in like cold. And that's part of why they looked so bad. I think that's it right there. Stargate saying, open a window, Lex. Yeah, I should have got her to open the window in the shower because she just took a shower just before we got on the air here. And she has a very strong shampoo, and I have allergies. And that was the whole issue that happened at the beginning of the stream. Jimmy's saying this, I do like the ball in Scotty's hands. I don't like seeing him sit in the corner. It forces him to make shit happen, and it's harder for him to be passive. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with this. If we have a choice between Scotty with the ball in his hands or him Like, as people have been saying recently, they're sick of Scotty being stuck in the corner doing nothing. Yeah, I would agree with this. I would agree with this in this way for sure. Um, what was I going to say? There was something about what Scotty was doing. He's really like he's interesting in the interviews. Like there was something after the game. He's wearing a fur coat. Like he's wearing a fur coat after a game. I guess they come back to Toronto. They just came from sunny California. And here it was kind of cold yesterday. It was like minus out here at my house. And so it was a little bit of a colder day because we've had mostly plus temperatures. This guy wore the fur coat. And before the interview, Michael Grange said something like, Scotty, I have to tell you about this story about Tracy McGrady. This guy's like, okay. And Michael's like, it has to do with your fur coat. And this guy's like, okay, tell the story, Michael. And then Michael like asks a question to him in the press conference instead. And it's like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? I guess he couldn't tell the story in the middle of the media room with everybody. He's like, I'll tell you later or something like that. I don't know. Some goofy thing about fur coat and Tracy McGrady. But Scotty, in some ways, he's seeing things right. In some ways, what he's saying is, I'm going to do whatever role Darko asked me to do to help us win games. And that's the whole thing he's doing. So he doesn't have his heart set totally on this being the new role or anything like that, even though maybe some Raptors Nation may have it now. He's just saying whatever it is on that night, is what it is. And it's cool because like they asked him to be the point guard last night, but also in the middle of the game, hey, Williamson's killing us. Get back in the game and stop him. So he can do like multiple checklists of different objectives to help the Raptors win. And one of them yesterday was just stopping the force that Williamson was because he was unstoppable for a little while there in the third, and they were eating up our lead. It was very dangerous. And with no Murray-Boyles out there to do it himself, because he could have done it too, because man, Zion's so hard to deal with. He just is. And you could see it from that section of the game that happened there. You can see it. Uji Buji saying Scotty's a good play initiating from the top of the key, though, and then being able to drive harder and straight forward and not have to pull up from the corner or try to attack baseline or dunker. Yeah, in some ways, it's the thing that's interesting about Scotty being the point guard and bringing the ball up the court is he can go in Giannis mode. And that's the thing that's dangerous. That's kind of what like Alvin was talking about with Matt Devlin last night during the game. Is that the danger of Scotty bringing the ball up the court isn't just his vision of advancing the ball very quickly in like a football pass or anything like that. It's also the fact that he could put on the Jets at any time and go into the lane from the top and be a real problem for defenses and call his own number and just make a forceful move with a layup or a dunk at the basket, like attacking the rim. So there's a couple of different things that'll keep people guessing, and it is very powerful. And once again, that was part of the very ingenious, smart thing that Webster and Ujiri did when they acquired Barrett and Quickly. Was first of all, you can see RJ and Scotty's chemistry every single game they play. There's always a play where they see something that nobody else sees, and the two of them have like a crazy secret play, and all of a sudden RJ's getting a layup because of a crazy pass from Scotty. And then, the design with Quickly's a combo guard. Quickly can revert to being more of a shooter than being on ball. And then Scotty can be the point guard. And it doesn't matter if Quickly's in the lineup or not, because he can be that guy off the ball, taking the shots, and Scotty's distributing it. So there's versatility in that. But this year, we got to remember part of the assignment for Quickly was to learn how to be a true point guard. And they needed to get him more developed in that. So that was part of, the work that Emmanuel's been doing all year is becoming more comfortable playing a more traditional point guard role. But once again, versatility and options are the best to have, because if we want to revert into different gears or modes, Scotty as point guard, Emmanuel as shooting guard, we have these options. Let's see. CMB with the bounce block on Jordan was nifty. Yeah, it was awesome. There were a couple of plays that could have been huge plays of the game, like that Sandro dunk I was talking about earlier. He really took off and he was flying. It was like a Jordan kind of dunk where he was like almost horizontal across the and he was coming to really dunk. And I wish he'd made that. It probably would have been like NBA top 10 today if Sandro had pulled off that first half dunk. The other play that was so interesting and fun that would have made a highlight reel was the very bizarre block that the Pelicans had, and they hit the ball directly to RJ on the 3 line, and he took a 3 immediately. If he had made that 3, it would have looked so cool because basically the Pelican had a really good block on one of our guys in the lane, and somehow, some way, that ball went straight to RJ's hands on the 3-point line, and he was going to shoot it. He did shoot it, but he didn't make it. If he had made that shot, that would have been a really cool highlight. It kind of would have hearkened to the old NBA blooper reel highlight shows that they used to do in the 80s and the 90s, where they take like all the interesting kind of trick shots and crazy plays in the NBA, maybe the fun between mascots and players, Robin Lopez shit, and make a goofy half-hour NBA action is fantastic. And then they show like a goofy play where somebody blocks a shot and it goes directly to another player's hands and they hit it. Or if somebody shoots a shot, it bounces off the rim, bounces off somebody's head, and then goes back into the basket. That kind of shit. I don't know where those shows at this point, Adam Silver. It's like Shaq and the Fool don't cover this. Y'all need to make another half-hour NBA show that's reminiscent of that old school stuff. I think the nostalgia factor and the fun of it would be awesome. So do that and don't like obscure the Raptors. Make them a part of the show and allow their clips to be on it. That's what I say. Because I love those shows. It's just like a dumb little highlight reel for like a half an hour of just goofy stuff happening in the NBA, and they'll have a commentator. Then look at what Frank Layden did in Utah. Look at Coach Layden running out on the court, and he fell on his ass. Shit like that. Referee Earl Strom is going over there and talking to Dennis Rodman, and then Dennis Rodman pulls down Earl Strom's pants. NBA action, fantastic. Where is that NBA, Adam Silver? Where is the trick shots and the goofy plays and the mixing up with mascots half-hour highlight reel show? I want to see that show come back. Y'all are all about Round Ball Rock with John Tesh on Peacock and different places like that. Let's get nostalgia back. Let's get the old NBA action highlight half-hour show back too. Why not? Where the fuck is that? Seriously, you're gonna say, "Oh, we can't do that." Nobody watches media that way, Lex. It's all little reels on YouTube and little highlight reels and stuff like that. Nobody's gonna sit down for a half an hour and watch it on TV. That TV medium is dead. I don't know. If you have cable and you still got an NBA channel, you should have that on as a filler program somewhere in the middle there, right? Or maybe it is still on. I just don't see it. I don't know. Uji Buji's saying the boys are starting to see the goal line more with the aggressiveness and focus on good passing last night. Yeah. I mean, they got to clean it up. Every night is a work in progress. Every night is a night and opportunity to get better as a team. And some nights you have a step back and you don't look as good and you don't play as well and you don't shoot as well. And it's bad. But everybody thinks that that's the team they are right in that moment. No, it's a work in progress. It's a whole collected work of the whole season. And there's the good and the bad and the ugly and all of it. And well, some nights are going to be ugly. Some nights are going to be really good too. And which night is exactly who the Raptors are? Well, it depends on how you want to look at it. Sometimes it's as simple as, are you a glass is half full or glass is half empty kind of person? And that could tell your perspective on whether you see the Raptors as this or that. To me, I see them as a young core that have so much potential, and they're continuing to work and do the things right. They're going to get to the right place at the end of the road. Meanwhile, Samson Folks is putting out content saying that they're capped out and they're not going to be as much better than they are already right now. Anyway, yeah, Debbie Downers and negative naysayers, come on now. You got to have a bright side, positive scene on the Raptors, because there is a lot of bright spots and bright things coming. That's right. Fiercely saying another double-double for our magnificent Jakob. Yeah. Underrated, a real warrior. Seeing him out there with the thing over his eyebrow, the 6 stitches he got from Benedict Mathurin's elbow. He's so unappreciated in some ways by Raptors Nation that it's wrong. It pisses me off. It's like, man, don't you see what this dude's doing for us? Don't you see how loyal he is? Because he wanted to come back here. I feel like there's this underlying thing with American bigs in the NBA that don't want to play for Toronto, and they blacklist us. And all of them are kind of like in cahoots together. Like DeAndre Jordan's the leader as the old guy. He's like, yeah, nobody's going to play in Toronto. None of us centers from the States want to play for Toronto. We just won't play there. We don't want to do it. Well, Jakob's Austrian. And in some ways, he loves Toronto and he's loyal to us. We drafted him. And even though we traded him with DeMar to get Kawhi Leonard and Danny Green, he's still loyal to us. He took 5 years at the University of Pop, got all kinds of seasoning and learning experience from Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich down in San Antonio. And he's come back as a more polished and really good vet. And I don't understand how people can't appreciate that. Remember, guys, Tim Duncan trained Jakob Poeltl. So how the fuck is he not a valuable player to have on our team? In some ways, it's like the disconnect with some people on him is just crazy. I think once again, it's nephews and casuals that see him maybe miss an easy shot, or they think he's clumsy or goofy, or he's too nerdy as a white Austrian man that they can't get behind him and think he's a good player, even though he's a fantastic player. And he's one of the most important players on the Toronto Raptors today. So anybody who thinks his contract's not worth it, you're stupid. And when that balloons in the third season or whatever from now, that's because the money around the whole NBA is going to balloon then. So don't look at his price in 3 years in today's monetary standards, because that's not fair. The money's changing in the NBA, and in some ways it's going open more, and the money's going to look way different by that time. So people can forecast and say, oh, Jakob's contract in a couple of years is just way too much. How do you know? How do you understand the NBA salary cap and the way that the NBA is making more money because of Peacock and Amazon and all the entities that broadcast? Because that's the thing that they aren't talking about as far as that. Yeah. Yeah. Fiercely saying this players are aware of the standings. Scotty mentioned it. Yeah, they know. They got to. I mean, if they didn't know, that would be a problem because they need this extra motivation, right? They need this extra motivation. And, if they were blind to it and they're just like, la, 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 we don't know the standings, I would be kind of upset because that means that they're not doing their due diligence. It may make me feel like the last year of Nick Nurse and that stretch run and DR DeRozan screaming at the court and just how not tuned in that whole team the Raptors was, along with the coach Nurse at that time. And remember the first year that they had the in-season tournament and they asked some of the players, hey, what's going on with the in-season tournament? And some of them were saying, I didn't even realize it was an in-season tournament. Wait, whoa, you need to be more aware of your NBA schedule and the games that are going on and what they are and what the stakes are. It's just like, whoa, we didn't even know this was in-season tournament tonight. No, you need to know. And I'm glad they're keeping up with the standings because these standings are tight. That's right. Uji Bougie saying Yak's ability to choose when to cut or to drag off screens is actually impeccable, and his hands and feet are way underrated. Passing on point, and he works with other bigs even when the paint gets full. Yeah, and he's good in traffic. And, the other thing that's really good about him is his light touch and his finishing. He's finishing in very smart ways with defenders lurking real close to him and they could cause block shots or mess him up, but he's smart. Like a guard, he'll use a reverse around the rim to protect himself from a shot blocker. And, there's a lot of light touch. There's some little pause and then go up, depending on how he's feeling the energy of the defender near him. There's a lot of smart stuff he's doing. One of the things he's done in the last couple of games has been fantastic is the tip backs. We're just off shots. We don't shoot very well as a team. Well, Jakob cleaning up a lot of missed shots by tipping it back in is a really good strength and been fantastic too. Fierce is saying Jacoby becoming extremely reliable offensively and defensively. Yeah, both ends. He's a true two-way player, and he's a keeper. He's going to be somebody in years to come. In some ways, he may be in that ilk of kind of like Norman Powell or a Morris Peterson for the Raptors as far as the heights that he reaches. He's never going to be our superstar, but he can definitely be one of those kind of guys that's in the rotation, and he's a regular contributor to our team doing well, like a Norman or a Morris, Morris Peterson. I don't know. Maybe Morris is more like RJ. I don't know. But Norman's a pretty good example of who a sometime starter, most of the time off the bench kind of player. Norman was pretty good on both ends of the ball too, good at steals and scoring. So let's see. Uji Bougie saying Jacoby is becoming what we hoped that Terrence Ross would develop into. He may not be dropping 50, but consistently putting in work, now getting dunks at the rim and threes, always big on defense. That's an interesting comparison considering I just did Powell and Peterson. I don't know about Ross. It's interesting though. The Ross thing, he really was more of an offensive player. In some ways, Terrence didn't really develop his defense as much as he could have. But man, a 50-point game against the Clippers for Terrence Ross. Yeah. Dunk competitions. It's just Ross in some ways is more flashy. And I always use this saying, are you either sizzle or steak? Vince Carter was sizzle. Michael Jordan was steak. Terrence Ross might be sizzle, but Jacoby Walter is steak. Do you get that kind of like that difference in what I'm saying? The sizzle is like, okay, great, impressive dunks, maybe a very flashy scoring performance. But the steak is like the winning stuff. It's like the grimy, like I'm going to do the grungy work along with everything. And it's not about looking flashy or getting accolades. I'm doing grunt work and I'm doing winning style kind of work. So yeah, I look at Jacoby as more of a steak kind of player than a sizzle player. And Ross was more of a sizzle player, like a good highlight here, a fantastic scoring output there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like that whole idea about what's sizzle and what is steak? Yeah. Yeah. Uji Bougie saying excited to see him grow over the summer. It will force dudes like Elijah Martin and Grady even to to evaluate their role and come with intensity towards their work. I think that Grady's going to have to overhaul his whole mindset about what his role is going to be. I think this is exactly right. I think that Grady at this point really does need to try and be like Luke Kennard or somebody. You're not a starter. You're going to really have to pivot to being like a 3-point specialist and really get your 3-point shot back. Because seriously, that is still your number one trait, Grady Dick, is shooting threes, even if you didn't shoot them well this year. So you need to rededicate yourself to the whole idea is like, I'm a specialist. I'm a 3-point shooting specialist. I may have been wanting to be an all-around scorer, and yeah, maybe I'll get my opportunities and I can be a sneaky, deceptive all-around scorer at times for the Raptors. But I think that I should really focus on this one area because, like they say, if you're good at one thing in the NBA, you can stick around. If your one thing is 3-point shooting, Grady, and you can't do it, you're not going to stick around. So I think that in some ways, as much as he needs to work on getting bigger and getting defense, sure, that's side quests. He needs to reacquire his 3-point shot for next year. And he needs to be able to use it in a potent, small quality window instead of a huge quantity window where he's getting a lot of chances and he has to play into his game. No, he needs to retrain himself this year, this offseason, to be so potent that if he's let out on the court, he's bombing a three and making it right away in the first second he's out there. And even if he only plays 2 minutes, if he takes one shot, he's making it no matter what. He's got to get to that point where he's dependable like that, where he's automatic again. Because he was like that in his first couple years in the league. It's this year he's not. So he has to reacquire that. Martin's got a lot he's got to do still. And I think that everybody calling for Elijah to be a full-fledged Raptor is way premature. And next year, he's going to need another year of G League. It's just, if anything, it's going to be because of the logjam of players that we have on the team. And him playing on that league keeps him going in development and working towards coming up. Now, if he's overpoweringly so good next year and it's undeniable, yeah, convert his contract from a two-way to a regular standard contract. But in some ways, unlike Jamison Battle, Elijah Martin doesn't have that exact skill like Battle does that's so overwhelmingly good that is useful to an NBA team night in, night out. He's a pretty good 3-point shooter, but he's not a specialist 3-point shooter like Battle is. Randolph's here. Good morning to Randolph. Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks family. You cannot break a rock with an egg. You must accept negative side effects to achieve a positive goal. I guess if you broke the egg with a rock, you can't break a rock with the egg the other way. Yeah. I was going to say, if you broke the egg with the rock, the egg might be useless because it's gross now and dirty. I don't know. That's the way my mind's thinking about this. This is an interesting one. You cannot break a rock with an egg. I mean, maybe you could if you have the right rock and you have a hard-boiled egg. Like you really hard-boil that egg. Maybe you could. Like there is some rock that is very flimsy and kind of like what is it they call in geology? It's like the scratch test. Like maybe there's something like it's like calcium or talc or something like that. Maybe you could break talc with a boiled egg. Maybe I don't know. I'm trying. I don't know why I'm trying to figure out this like this way. You must accept negative side effects to achieve a positive goal. Yeah, or use it as motivation to work towards the goal past it. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Blessings to the Phillips family, all the Raptor Freak families. I appreciate that, Randolph. I do. Fiercey's got RJ on blast. Jimmy's saying Scotty can play point guard and is damn good at it, but it doesn't mean we don't need a point guard now. It's a good weapon to have, and was the whole idea of Quick being a good off ball guard for Scotty. Exactly. That was part of the reasoning is that, Quickly is versatile. He's not pigeonholed to be just a point guard and it's unflexible. He can be either one. But like I said, he had to train to be better as a true point guard this year. And I think he's been very successful at it. Very, very successful at it. It was a very much a goal of the team to run Emmanuel more as a true point guard this year because he didn't really do it last year. He was more of a shooting guard last year. This year, he was more of a point guard. Kareem saying this Sandro with that energy off the bench. Clearly, you can see what happens when you crash the boards. Easy putbacks, easy tips, and easy second chances. That boy ate his Cheerios yesterday. Yeah, energy and effort will get you a long way. You put in the work, you get somewhere. That's why the guys who bust their ass, like Walter and Mamu, are so loved and are so successful. Because that putting that energy out there and leaving it on the court, that's the way you should play. That's the way you should play. Jimmy's saying Jacoby brought much needed shooting to the starting lineup. I mean, he's been our best shooter in the last month. That's for sure. That's for sure. I don't want to shade anybody on our team because I know different people have ups and downs and they go through different things. And honestly, we've had really good periods where Emmanuel was absolutely locked in. We've had great periods with RJ recently. There's a lot of different guys that have been going ups and downs with their outside shooting. Mamu had really good period in the beginning, kind of cooled off in the middle. Now he's starting to show signs he's making his threes again now. There's going to be different biorhythms with making shots with all the Raptors at different times. And Jacoby's on a high right now for sure. For sure. Kareem's saying this Sandro is becoming our most reliable piece off the bench other than Jacoby. He's like an offensive hub and a great floor spacer. His 3-point shots are never contested. Elite passer and connector plus size. Yeah, there's a lot of things to like about Sandro. Hopefully his price tag isn't too much and we can maybe hold on to him this summer. We'll have to see. We will have to see. Reggie's here. Great news for Houston. Happy to see that. Yeah, about the Comets. Yeah, it's a good thing. The Rockets have been reeling lately. They've had a lot of problems. There's a lot of articles out about the Houston Rockets and their dysfunction right now, that their team is all messed up internally. I think that there's a problem there, and his name is Durant. And this is part of why last summer, Reggie, I said, I don't know if this is totally a good thing, Kevin Durant in Houston, because there's sometimes something that rears its ugly head where Durant is gone since he was on Golden State, is he's not totally a good team player. One of the things that's weird about Kevin is he doesn't want to be a leader. He'd rather just show up and kind of be out there and do his thing, but he doesn't really want to lead the other guys. He's not very communicative. He's not talkative. And with Fred out this season, they're lacking a vocal leader on this team on the court that is really a problem. The other thing that's happening with the Rockets right now that's messing them up is there's a lot of non-confidence in MA. There's a lot of Rockets fans that hate their coach all of a sudden now. And they're really pissed off at some of the decisions he's making. So there's a lot of issues with the Rockets team all of a sudden. And not at a good time of the year. It is really true, though. If Fred was healthy and he was able to be there for them, Fred VanVleet, this season would be totally different for the Rockets. They'd be in way better shape. But it's interesting how the bad side of Kevin Durant is rearing its face now at this point in the season. Sure, it's rah, rah, rah. Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers in the history of the NBA, top 10 scorer all time total points. But there's the other side that reared its head in Phoenix, reared its head in Brooklyn, and now it's rearing its head in Houston. And that was my biggest thing about it when we looked at it last year. I said, man, this could go either way with Kevin. It could be a glorious, amazing thing. And it seemed like that for most of the season. But I think at this point, the ugly side of Kevin Durant is showing in the dysfunction on the Rockets at this point. Seriously, this man has such a resume and so much accolades, Olympic champion so many times, and a champion with the Warriors because of Steph. He should be a true leader. And in some ways, the fact that he doesn't want to be a leader or be like that for the team, that's a flaw in his career. That's a flaw in him as a player. And that also talks to the fact that he could only win when he was on Golden State. That, there's a lot to what I just said right there. Yeah. Yeah. So the Suns for 2027, right? Moved to Houston. So the Suns for 2027, right? It's not the Phoenix Suns, it's the Connecticut Sun out of Connecticut. The WNBA team, Connecticut Sun, has been bought by the Rockets owner, and they're going to move them back to Houston and make them the Comets. That's right. That's what it is. Yep. Cream saying, Point Scotty is our Joker card for the playoffs. It's kind of funny that you use the word Joker for that, if you think about it. Jimmy's saying Scotty's peak would be surrounded with shooters and going downhill making plays. He's good in the post, but we all know what he's capable of. Yeah. Yeah. I like this idea too. I know a lot of people have been calling this out. Surround Scotty with shooters. Well, Grady, get your act together. Jamison Battle. Come on now. And maybe we can still get this. I mean, I can see this happening. Kareem saying, I know people hate where I draw comparisons with Scotty and Nikola. I watched and heard all of Denver's radio and sports outlets how Joker was too conservative and has too much skills to be that way. I see that exact same thing with Scotty. It wasn't until last year where Joker absolutely stole the scene, and I see the same with Scotty. Mind you, they say a professional athlete, no matter what sport, hits their prime 27 to 31 years old. All right. In some ways, because of the way the last Denver game went, I'm not going to speak up Jokic. Fuck him. He's a floppy artist. In some ways, I lost a lot of respect for Nikola the last time we played Denver because this is him to me now. Oh, you might as well throw him in Luka category. And in some ways, I'm mad at Denver fans for calling out Shea for all the foul baiting because Nikola's worse. And so I've lost respect for Nikola right now. I'm not going to talk up Nikola in any kind of way right now. In some ways, I'll admit he's an MVP and he's played very well. But the way he played against the Raptors on that Friday a week ago, I have no respect for him at this point because in some ways he played lazy and he allowed the refs to help them win. So this isn't the time or place. I'm not going to do anything with this right now in the way that you want me to. Because right now, to me, Nikola Jokic is one of those inflatable men that are going like this in the wind when you drive by a mobile home park and they're trying to sell mobile homes. Ooh, come in here. That's who he is to me. I lost a lot of respect for him in that game because he used foul baiting to basically help them win the game. And only on his recognition of name and stuff was why he got the calls. Half the shit that he got calls for, he shouldn't have gotten calls for. And it's only because he is Nikola and the multiple MVP player. So I'm not going to do this, Kareem. I know you're a big Nuggets fan. I don't want to compare Scotty to Nikola right now. I really don't. Uji Bougie saying this. Scotty is more a KG archetype with the heart of magic for passing. Jokic is more of a pure center Sabonis type. Scott has the gift to get boards and blocks more out of effort over size plus handles. I think this is the right distinction between the two of them. Is effort, is playing all out, is going after it. In some ways, Nikola lets the game come to him. In some ways, he directs the game and flows the game through him, but he's not going after it like Scotty is. And that's a big difference between the two of them. I think that's a big difference. Jimmy's saying the way I look at it is the team superstars have the ball in their hands majority of the time. Doesn't mean they're point guards. I listened to the coach of the 905, and I like this dude. Didn't know you were a big guy, Lex. You got a little on me. I'm 6'4" in shoes. I mean, yeah, I played ball when I was younger, and I really love basketball. In some ways, I'm not just sitting on this channel for 2 hours every morning as a guy who never played. I didn't play at a high level. I didn't even play in high school, But I played in a lot of rec leagues and I played a lot when I was young. And I was a gym rat. I like to be in the gym for like 8 hours. And I play like when I was a teenager and in my early 20s in Tallahassee, I would spend like a whole day playing basketball for like 8 hours. I would run up and down the court and just play pickup basketball for like 8 hours and just exhausted and sweating. And it would be in Florida summers sometimes in gyms that didn't have air conditioning. It was crazy. So yeah, I put in a lot of time on the court. There is true experience for me in what I talk about on this channel as far as things. And it's kind of thing like I don't play regularly now, being 50, but if I got out on the court, people would be shocked at just how athletic and still how much I can do at my age right now. Because I did a couple of years ago, I got out on the court and I was like, holy shit, I still got it because do have a shot and I'm very fundamentally good, like, especially on defense. People can't score on me. I will guard people up and lock them up. And because I have a very long arms, this arm doesn't stretch out, but I can still use my right arm to smack the shit out of them. Like Colin got that left handed block on DeAndre last night. That was awesome, man. That left handed block, man. Yeah. I think that it's true. I think that once again, a lot of things in NBA labels are just labels. You want to call it a one, a two, a five. You want to call it a shooting guard, a power forward, a center, whatever. They're just labels. It used to matter in the old NBA because it was really defined, but it's not anymore. It's not anymore. This league has gotten the point where you could play five centers, you could play 5 point guards, and they'll be all over the place and all over weird different ways. Trevor's saying Indiana had a chance to beat the Clippers, but missed free throws, 2 free throws, and to win the game at the end. That sucks, man. And that they were that close. Man, Siakam couldn't get it done, huh? Siakam couldn't get it done. Cream's saying, I seen Lex the real jerk. He's tall and can probably dunk on Bobo. That's a dunk for Lex, by the way. Okay, I'll take the. I can't dunk on Bobo. I never was able to dunk, though. This is the thing. I don't have leaping ability. In some ways, I could grab the rim. Yeah, I could hang on the rim, but I couldn't get up over it to actually dunk it. But yeah, man, you guys are making me reminisce about my old playing days. Yeah, I miss them. There was a lot of goofy stuff that happened back in the day. I was a player coach, right? I was coaching the team and I was the general manager of our team and I played, but I wasn't playing a lot. I would play like a few minutes, but come off the court and then kind of just coach instead. In the team that I ran a team in many men's city league in Tallahassee, and we were called the Fat Guys, but we were PHAT guys, not the fat guys, fat guys. And the joke was we were like the only team in the league that wasn't fat guys. Everybody else in the league was fat. They were like construction workers. Like there was a building company called Childers, and they had the Childers construction team, and they were all big fat construction workers we play. And our team was younger. There was teams were always like guys that were in their late 20s, early 30s, and our team was like teenagers and early 20s. And on my team, I recruited like a couple of former basketball high school players, like a guy from Rickards, a guy from Sale, a guy from Leon, a guy from Lincoln. I had all the major high schools in Tallahassee. I had like former players from their high school teams combined together. So we had some real talent and we'd be playing these fat guys, but we were called the fat guys. And that was part of the joke. This is so goofy. And I had to get a sponsor, and we got jerseys, and we had a schedule, and we held practices. I ran everything. I did everything for that stuff when my friend Todd, and he was my assistant. And man, those were the days. It was a lot of fun, man. I kind of tell stories about those days sometimes. Like our center, John Dodrell, he was this hippie guy who went to the alternative high school in Tallahassee, Sale, and he purposely would not bathe like 2 days before our games, and he would eat raw onions right before the game, and nobody wanted to guard him. He was really smart, actually. Like, he got a lot of room for his shots inside because he smelled so fucking bad, and that was all on purpose. It was kind of crazy. We had interesting methods on the fat guys. Oh, those were the days. I'm talking about like this is like 96, 97, 98, 99. That's a long time ago, isn't it? It's a long time ago. Let's see. All right, I took my dunk. I'm at 21 now. I got the Dominique Wilkins, Thad Young, 21. Iron Man FC saying point guard Scotty Barnes. Everybody's into this. I see it. Jacoby in the starting lineup seems like a direction we need to take to finish the season. I don't know about that. Nah, our starting five's good when it's available. It's just Jacoby's a good sound fill in if somebody is missing. And I think it is better with him in the starting lineup than Shed. I think if that's the big difference between last night and games just before that, yeah, I think that Shed is important to settle down the second unit and set the tone of second unit defense. And because his scoring's off, he shouldn't really be starting. And I think that's the main reason why they did that. It's not necessarily to give Scotty a point guard chance. Maybe it's more to give Jacoby a starting chance. And in that way, Scotty's the most natural point guard and the leftover starters last night. Although I would argue Jacoby Walter is trained to be a point guard, and he could have easily been considered the starting point guard last night too. So Monique is here. Good morning to Monique. Super fan Mo was texting me last night during the game. She's so happy we got our 41st victory last night. And this means the Raptors are guaranteed a 500 record this season. If not, of course, they're going to be above 500 this season. That's a success. Raptors fans, forget about whether we get the play-in or the playoffs. This is a successful year no matter what. We have risen from 30 wins to 41 wins as of last night, and we are pretty much guaranteed a winning season this year. So take it all into account. And even if there's some weird stuff that happens at the end of the season, somehow, some way, we don't end up being in a true playoff spot, do not hold your head and think this season is not successful. This is a successful season no matter what happens going forward from now. It just is. It just is, man. That's right. She's saying, what a win. Glad we are in fifth. Yeah, back in our fifth spot with a half game over the Atlanta Hawks. And yeah, we need to be back there. Thank you to Scotty. And she's saying, DeJounte who? Punk. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, he is a punk ass. I never really respected him, and I respect him even less at this point. Fiercely saying, yes, he is a punk indeed. And she has garbage cans. Let's see. Uji Bougie saying this, breaking gypsum and talc with the super hard-boiled hard egg. Lex put a Mythbusters hat on. Yeah. I mean, you could probably do that, right? In theory. Not normally Mr. Wizard here with my Don Herbert, like little experiments with the kids. Oh, come on in, kids. Mr. Wizard's World. Come on into the kitchen. I set up these beakers and there's chemicals in here. We're going to mix these up and see what kind of things they are. Okay, Mr. Wizard. No, don't do that, Timmy. That's not something that I actually wanted you to mix with. That's just Mrs. Wizard's special batch of molasses. Oh, but I want to put it in here, Mr. Wizard. No, Timmy, no. Ah! Yeah, it's goofy, man. I know you're saying Mythbusters, and this old man's going back to Mr. Wizard's World on Nickelodeon. Yeah, a gypsum, breaking gypsum and talc with a hard-boiled egg. I know, man. Sometimes we just improv into goofy places. And I guess, yeah, it's kind of like that, you know? Randolph's saying, Lex, you're funny, bro. You got me laughing like crazy. Well, that's one of the side effects of the show is, right? You guys got to remember, I'm a trained improv artist from Second City. And that if you guys want me to do impressions or even sing a song, that's always here. It's like that's the unwritten secret rule of the Raptor Freak show is Lex is kind of the dancing entertainment at your whim. And if you want me to do an impression of somebody, you can just write impression, colon, and then write the person. Or it could be an object. You could say, do an impression of talc. And I would try and do it. It used to be a stage show I used to do. And it was really bad. Sometimes I get boo off the stage. I come up on the stage in Toronto and say, guys, I do impressions. I'll do anything. Just yell a word out. I'll try and do it. And somebody yell from the back, you're a piece of shit. And I get down on the floor and make the shape of a piece of shit. And they'd be like clapping afterwards, like, oh, he is a piece of shit. That's pretty good, and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'll do impressions. And I love singing. I feel good, especially when we win. I love singing a song. If you guys have a favorite song, you want to see me try and sing it, as long as it's an old song, because I'm an old head. I don't know the new songs, but I can do an old song. That's right. Mo saying DeJounte Murray not playing should tell you a lot. Yeah, Mo saying coward. There's a rookie named Cedric, but that last name should be for DeJounte, is what Monique is saying right there. DeJounte coward. That's right. Mo saying, Lex, put yourself in Bobby's shoes. When would you extend Jacoby Walter's player option? ASAP, ASAP, as soon as possible, as soon as you can. Yeah, he's a good one. Lock him in. Lock him in. You know, if there was any question at the beginning of the year, we had a battle between Abaji, Battle, Dick, and Walter, and Shed, and all these different guys off the bench. Who's going to be a keeper, the one that you really want to hold on to? We know who it is. It's number 14. It's the man who's named after Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, Jacoby Walter. Yeah, the Baylor Bear. That's who it is. That's right. Put a pin in it. Get that option done, Bobby. That's right. Don't mess around. Jimmy's saying be grateful. That's right. Jimmy's saying Lex with the Vince dunk on Bol Bol. You know, Scotty kind of had a move at the beginning of the game last night, kind of like Vince. You saw that baseline move. He went and dunked it on them. That was very Vince Carter-esque. Seriously. That was very number 15 Vince Sanity kind of stuff. Half man, half amazing kind of shit. It really was. If you go back and see that highlight where Scotty was in the corner and he had a lane to come towards the basket and there was a defender there and he kind of went around him and then threw it down with the left. Yeah, that was a Vince Carter kind of attack and dunk. Very, very, very Air Canada Carter. Scotty doing something like that. I saw that. Yeah. Most saying I'm at the game tomorrow for sure. Awesome. Yeah, she was going to go to the game last night, but with the Jays game and all the traffic, and congratulations, Jays, on winning your season opener last night at Rogers Center. And just the later start, Monique was like, I'm passing on the New Orleans game last night. I'll just stay home, but she's going to come down there tomorrow, just like me. We're going to get loud and we're going to get that W, right, Mo? We are going down there to get that W and help the Raptors beat the Orlando Magic at 6 p.m. tomorrow night. That's right. We'll have the preview on this channel tomorrow morning, talking about the latest lineup news and the refs. The refs were last night. You know, Mark Davis is Mark Davis. You know, I like Scotty talking to Kevin Cutler. He got really detailed with Kevin Cutler at one point, talking about what he can and can't do with his arms and trying to tie up Zion Williamson. And Kevin Cutler was giving him feedback, and they were going back and forth and talking. Very, very mature conversation, respectful conversation. There were a couple times where we saw Mark Davis make jerk faces, where you want to punch him in the face because he looks like a jerk. He's looking back at players and kind of like doing that kind of shit to people when they're trying to explain their case. You know, Mark Davis. But overall, they weren't that bad. Pat O'Connell had a couple calls that I was very happy about. Kevin Cutler, very smart with some of the possession arrows with dubious 50-50 calls on out-of-bounds plays, giving it to the Raptors. So, yeah, I can't complain about the refs too much. They didn't get in the way. But if they had the chance, once again, if that game had been close somewhat in the last bit, they would have done the same thing they did in Denver. They would have done the same thing they did in Denver on the road trip. They would have if they had the chance. Kareem saying, I'm in no way talking about comparisons between Scotty and Nikola. I'm talking set career trajectories. Scotty and the Joker are nothing alike other than being conservative in the monster buildup. What do you keep saying conservative? Why do you have to use that word? I don't think that Scotty's like that, though. I think that Scotty, man, he's got a really weird computer for a brain. And his itinerary of logical reasoning of what's the next step isn't like the average NBA player. They may be like me. And Scotty's like everybody else. Okay, me. You know, it's kind of like that. Mo's saying great post-game interviews last night. They were pretty good. Darko's feisty right now. Darko's full of fun. Like he was messing with the reporter. One of the reporters said something about Jacoby making shots so much, and then Darko said, "Now you've jinxed him, and when he misses the next shot, you're going to owe me $100." He said that to a reporter last night, and Darko's been real feisty. There was a foreign reporter that was asking him a question, and he brought up like a soccer game that was overseas, and made fun of the reporter. And he said, yeah, it's like Partizan. Yeah, they beat Valencia or some shit like that. So it's like, yeah, Darko's in the mode. And when he got to the podium last night, the first thing he said was glory to God once again. All the glory to God. We beat the Pelicans tonight. Yeah. His interviews are pretty fun right now. because he's loose and he's very like he's comfortable now. Like he's comfortable. The first year he's very professional, but now he kind of knows our media people and he's a little more loose and he will go at them and he'll kind of go off cuff and kind of like tease them. He'll tease the reporters at this point. So I like that. I like that. He doesn't take any mess. And if people are talking trash about our players, like, oh, they're not shooting well, he's very defiant. And he'll be like me on this channel. He'll say, what do you mean Emmanuel's not playing well? I don't see that. I don't see that. He's been doing that consistent all year. Whether they talk about RJ, they talk about Jacoby, they talk about Jamal. Somebody tried to say Jamal's not shooting well last night. And Darko said, I'm not hearing this. It's like he's playing so well on defense. He's doing this. He's doing that. What is he doing wrong? Oh, he's not shooting shots, making shots. Who cares? We're winning. It's kind of how Darko comes at them with that. It's really awesome. W Stream W Vibes. There's my cutoff from the Superfan mode. Give me my producer's cutoff. Go Raptors for life. Keep at it always, Lex. Strong forever. Just helping me limit the comments. Yeah, we're just about 2 hours. So we do want to finish up soon. Maybe I'll do a couple more tabs and we'll get out of here very shortly. Let's see. Raptors Redditor of the day is Chasseur de Coles. Thank you for this. He said today only on Ticketmaster. They had a special event yesterday in the afternoon, and it was Toronto Raptors VIP guided tour of Scotiabank Arena with Jamal McGlure. You could actually sign up for this yesterday. Big Cat was doing tours himself as the tour guide around the Scotiabank Arena, including entry to the Raptors locker room, which is part of that guided tour. So I could only imagine how much fun that would be to have community ambassador for the Raptors, Jamal McGlure, former Raptor and all-star in the NBA, doing the tour around the arena and the stories he would tell or talk about walking people around in Scotiabank Arena. So that's cool. I didn't even know this kind of thing existed where they would have Jamal taking you on a tour around the arena and saying stuff. That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. Somebody's saying, though, who's going to pay $400 for this? Tickets aren't included. That's crazy. Yeah. I don't know. That does seem like that's a lot of money for just a walk around with Jamal McGlure. Either way, I appreciate knowing that this happens from Chasseur de Coles. Thank you for the post on Reddit, Raptors Reddit today. All right, guys, straight goods and Canadian goods. We got the made good morning bars out once again today because the Raptors made good last night, beating the Pelicans. This is a Canadian company that makes morning breakfast bars, and I eat one of these every day. This particular flavor is the organic soft baked oats bar cinnamon bun. So it's got cinnamon across it. Give me like 10 more minutes. I'm going to be done. I know you're hungry. Just give me 10 more minutes. I'm almost done. And the cinnamon bars are good. You want to eat one of these? There's one over there. Okay. You don't want a made good bar? No. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I better get finished soon because the natives are restless is what's going on here right now. So, all right, you want to make an appearance? You're coming over here. I might get slapped in a second.
I do not believe in physical violence.
Okay, Adriana is here. She's going to the game with me tomorrow, so she decided to come out and hang out with me for the weekend. So, yeah, made good. They're made good, and they're Canadian, and they're nut and gluten-free. And look for that little symbol there. That'll tell you Canada or organic. All right, there you go. There's straight goods on Canadian goods. Nameless is saying you should probably stop perpetuating that nonsense. Just saying. I don't think Ingram is not trying. I think there is maybe some mental hurdle preventing him from overcoming and being effective. To suggest he's doing so on purpose is absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion. No, I think it's true. And it's the same thing Siakam does when he plays the Raptors. In some ways, it's like you spend 8 years playing for one team. You have so much affinity for it. You ride or die for it for so long. It's hard for you to switch gears just because you switched teams a year ago. That's what this is, Nameless. And it's not even that I'm mad at him for it. In some ways, it's kind of like I'm kind of respect his loyalty to his former team. In some ways, I respect Siakam's loyalty to us as a Pacer still. So it's the same phenomena. If you can go and look at all the games that Siakam's played against the Raptors since we traded him to Indiana, they're not in his averages. They're below his averages. So there is some documented statistical evidence that can point to this. We can take the 2 games against the Pelicans, although Brandon did score pretty good in New Orleans. He had a pretty good scoring night, but he did have key turnovers at wrong times, and in some ways he didn't seem as locked in as wanting to win. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, that could be one of the most asinine things I've ever heard you say. Well, that's fine. I'm not going to be perfect to everybody all the time. And I love you, Nameless. And I appreciate you not liking what I said. I have no problem with it. It's just my perception, my observations. And you don't have to agree with me. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Let's see. Kareem saying, is it illegal to start a GoFundMe account so we can stash money and give it to Mamu? Like, I'm sure other owners are doing it under the table. So why can't we? Aspiration? You want to do an aspiration for Mamu? Give him a fake contract. Maybe you could talk to your wife since she works for Rogers, and you guys and Rogers can do something to get him some money. Oh, wait, that doesn't work. Because Rogers is Rogers. So it just don't work. So, yeah, we can't do it that way. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Let the time things happen in the right order. Let's finish the season, and then off-season stuff, we'll do off-season stuff. Most saying, can you comment in the 905's chat, Lex? Because I believe a fan blocked you. I don't know who, though. No, nobody blocked me. I blocked a bunch of other people. I blocked David, the guy who does all the bot AI like posts about the score. I blocked a bunch of gamblers in the last game, guys who were coming in there asking for gambling advice on a 905 game. And Kareem and I were like, you guys are degenerates. You guys are trying to bet on a G League game? Like, get help. Seriously. Yeah, there were people in there asking us questions about the spread, and we're like, get help. I was telling them false information just so they lose because they were annoying me so much. But they were relentless, and they're in there. And then another one of the problems was in the last game was the Wisconsin Herd fans got all chatty right at the end when Wisconsin started to win right at the end. They were quiet the whole game. And then they got all braggadocio once the game was close at the end, and they did win. And they were poor winners. They actually kind of rubbed it in at the end. But yeah, I don't know. I shouldn't be blocked. If you've got me blocked, that's weird. You shouldn't have me blocked because you can see me on here. The same thing that I am on this channel right now is what I would be in the YouTube channel watching G League. So if you can see me here, you should be able to see me in G League. So that it shouldn't be a problem for you. The other people can't see me though. The people that I blocked. That's the thing. Yeah. Fiercey saying hi to Adriana. There you go, Adriana. You just got a girl power from Fiercey. Yeah. And Kareem's saying, Lex, I thought you were talking to God until Adriana popped up on the screen. Dunk for Adriana. Yeah. I mean, in some ways, I mean, I am going a little crazy out here sometimes in my usually being out here isolated by myself. But Adriana's out here with me today. And, well, she's getting a dunk. She got her first dunk of the year. She's a notorious BI3. That's right, yeah. Fiercey's saying that she wore purple on Thursday. Thank you for the awareness, Adriana. She said thank you to you, MJ. Name is saying, well, whatever. That parallel may be between the two players of BI and Pascal. I can guarantee it's psychological and not willful. I mean, I can't get mad at that. In some ways, it shows a pure, true love and loyalty for your path and where you're from. Some players will be eye of the tiger and like, I want to kill my old team. But other players are like, I love my old team still on the down low. And I can't beat them because in some ways I've fought so hard for them for so many years that it just doesn't not compute in my brain as a robot. It's kind of does not compute playing the Raptors. I love the Raptors. I am Siakam, that kind of thing. It's kind of like that. Most saying, why was Matt Cullen calling the 905 game last game? I have no idea. I prefer Randy. I'm sure that Ben Schulman's moved on to the Blue Jays because of his dad. And, his dad, I think, is getting close to retiring. So it's kind of like Ben wants to be in the position to be kind of in the hierarchy of the Blue Jays announcers. And so he switched away from us. He went to Winter Olympics with Lindsay and a bunch of other people, not Lindsay, but Danielle Michaud and a bunch of them went to the Winter Olympics. And Ben Schulman was there, and he didn't come back, and he's gone straight to Blue Jays. And so he's not doing it. And then Randy was filling it in. But I guess they wanted Matt Cullen for the last game. I thought it was a downgrade. I agree with that. And I feel bad because I wrote in, man, I blame Cullen for us losing because it's like Urban is such a enthusiastic call. I feel like he's fun to hear. And Matt Cullen's kind of a dry delivery. very matter-of-fact delivery. He's not bad. He's technically a very good play-by-play guy. It's just that he's dry and there's not a lot of passion. Like Randy Urban kind of gets into it like a fan. He's like, "Oh my gosh, they did this and stuff." That's why, I can respect that more. But Matt Cullen's more very clinical with how he does games. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see who calls the game today. If it's Matt Cullen again, well, Randy must have been busy, and that's why. I don't know. It's interesting though. Nameless is saying no player would intentionally try to lose. It's not built in the software. Well, you go watch that game in New Orleans and watch Brandon and how he played, and you tell me otherwise. Did you watch the game in New Orleans when that happened? You'd be shocked how many times it seemed like Brandon was sabotaging our team, whether it was missing free throws, whether it was dribbling the ball off his foot and causing a lot of turnovers, whether it was missing key shots at moments where we had momentum in our favor and killing the momentum because he was so bad with his shot. So, yeah, we had all kinds of different ways to try and get back at the Pelicans when we were in New Orleans. But every time we would, for some reason, Brandon would get in the way of it. That's why, I'm watching this game on another level than most people. And I'm paying attention to very minor details that most people wouldn't catch, whether it's facial expressions, whether it's body placement and movements and what they're actually doing and how they're actually trying. I'm not mad at Brandon for it at this point. I was very mad at him the day after the game. And I did say some things on this channel afterwards. But otherwise, it's like, in some ways I respect it. And I'm like, okay, it's just we can't depend on Brandon Ingram when we play the Pelicans. That's just the thing we've learned here. And in some ways, Pelicans fans would be like, yay, we love Brandon because he still loves us and he doesn't want to hurt us and beat us. I know he wants to win. I'll say that, but it's tough for him. It's tough for him to go against them. Yeah. Trevor's saying there's a Raptors rookies open gym that's dropping today. It's going to be on in probably half an hour from now. Noon is the drop time for open gym on a Saturday. And, well, we're going to get a new open gym episode at noon in about half an hour. I need to get out of here and get this done. Yeah. Yeah. And Nameless saying, love you, buddy. Great stream today. I appreciate that, man. I do. Let's see if there's any breaking Raptors news right now. Just real quick, I like to look for this, any kind of news. Okay, Blake Murphy is reporting that Markelle Fultz will be playing for the 905 tonight in their regular season finale. 905 need to win this game to secure their home court in the first round of the playoffs. Okay, interesting. Also, Blake Murphy's got a little factoid up saying only players since 2009 to average more than 5 assists, but fewer than 7 points. TJ McConnell twice in 2017 and 2020, and then Jamal Shed this year. So that's interesting. That's not necessarily a good thing. It's not necessarily a good thing. So, yeah, there's some breaking news. Markel's going to play for 905 tonight, and that's a pretty big deal. All right, let's do the classic card. Classic card of the day. Yeah, Kimberly's at the game tomorrow, so you're with her. Awesome. Well, hopefully she's still, they're still doing Giants of Africa, right? It's just that it's not associated with the Raptors anymore. So, yeah, I appreciate the Giants of Africa people, especially Kimberly. And I hope that you have fun seeing her and hanging out. I know y'all are just friends too, right? All right, here we go. You know who this is. Here's the classic card of the day. Give me the full name answer on the classic card of the day. It's one of these weird ticket cards once again. This one should be pretty easy. Yeah, Raptors roadie open gym today. You said rookie, right? D'Angelo Russell. That's right. Fiercey's got it. It is D'Angelo Russell on the ticket. Yeah, he's kind of a knucklehead player to me. Is he still even in the league right now? Like, I feel like he's buried somewhere on somebody's bench, not doing nothing. All right, we'll give you this is kind of an easy one. So I'm gonna just give you 50 on this one. Although, you know what? Actually, it's 100. We'll say 100. 100 for D'Angelo Fox, or not D'Angelo Fox, D'Angelo Russell. Why did I say D'Angelo Fox? That's weird. Okay, Fiercey, 100 points for D'Angelo Russell. Y'all check on your fantasy playoff teams. If you're one of the 8 playing still, check on your lineups. HC's got a huge lead over Nins. He's going to probably win his first seed matchup. MK is beating Amit at this point. Pretty good. Kaz has got a very slight lead over James. This is the game of the week. 1,064 to 1,050. We got today and tomorrow to determine this. And we'll see if Kaz gets the upset, beating the second seed. And then I'm beating Jason Dukes by about 80 points right now myself. So yeah, they're good matchups right now to the best team to win, and the Final Four will be on Monday. And yeah, we got to finish this up really good. Yeah, Dallas and then the Wizards. He might be on the Wizards right now. I don't know. Either way, let me go look. Let me just go look. Where in the world is D'Angelo Russell? I guess that's the game. D'Angelo Russell. There. Oh, okay. He is on the Wizards. You're right. He is on the Wizards roster right now. So, all right, y'all. Thanks for watching the Raptor Freak reaction to the Raptors beating the Pelicans on Friday night. Once again, there's a 9:05 game at 6 p.m. today. The referees will be Ian McClenny, Maripir Malo, and Billy McClatchy. So join us at 6 p.m. on YouTube to watch that game. I encourage everybody to get out there and protest today in your neck of the woods. If you see people outside, go ahead and join them. Seriously, go ahead and join them. All right, the Raptors stars of the game for me in the game last night. Chain winner, Scotty Barnes, number 1 star. Jakob Poeltl, number 2. Sandro Mamukelashvili, number 3. RJ Barrett, number 4. And Jacoby Walter is my 5th star. Honorable mention to Colin Murray-Boyles for the first half of service that he did before the back spasms and didn't come back. Darko did say after the game that Colin should be fine and that these should pass. This isn't going to be a lingering issue, the back spasms that Colin was dealing with last night. All right, y'all. I appreciate everybody. I'm going to go ahead and go so that Adriana and I can eat some lunch. I appreciate everybody watching. Let's go Raptors. Stay true to your team like Brandon and Pascal. And I love you guys, and we'll see each other tomorrow for a preview of the Orlando game. Tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern at Scotiabank Arena. We got to keep going, keep winning, because the situation, the standings is precarious, and we can't misstep. We got to get these wins while we can right now. Congratulations on a winning season, Raptors. I love you guys. Keep on keeping on. Let's go, Raptors.